Alright, what is up y'all? Profitz here, back with an update video on my funding pips challenge, 50k challenge. If you guys haven't checked out the first two parts of the video, or of this little series that I'm doing where I'm taking a challenge and showing every trade I take, if I win, if I lose, if I beat the challenge, if I lose the challenge, I'm going to show everything, be 100% transparent, even show you guys my back-end dashboard, everything like that. So if you're interested in that, seeing the first two videos, and if you haven't yet, go check those out. But without further ado, I know it's been some time. I think it's been almost a month, which is crazy, since my last update video. And it was slow in the sense that I took 3 trades in October. So I didn't want to, there wasn't really a point of making a video every week. And I just had a lot going on in my life. So we'll get into that. But I only took 3 trades, and unfortunately, the challenge is still not going very well. I took 2 losses and then 1 win. So I really began this challenge with a loss streak, which is one thing that is difficult about taking funding challenges. Is it really takes you stacking wins in a row to beat a challenge, unless you just take a super long time. If you're like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, if you have a good risk to reward, you can win that way, but it'll just take a lot longer. If you stack wins back to back to back to back, you can beat challenges pretty quickly. I just unfortunately started off on a loss streak, so that kind of stinks, but our last trade was a win, and I'm also in a current trade right now that is winning, so I'll also go over those. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first loss, and this was a very, very unfortunate loss because here's what happened, all right? What I usually do on these challenges is I go in and risk 1%, right? Unless I start going up. Let's say I risk 1%. The first trade I take, I hit a 1 to 3 risk reward ratio, so now guess what? I'm up 3% on the challenge. The next trade I may risk a little bit more. I may risk 1.5 or 2% because I'm risking profits at that point, right? Instead of, if you're in drawdown, I risk 0.5%, I lose, or I risk 1%, I lose, boom, I lost 1%. What am I going to do now? I'm going to continue keeping my risk the same. I'm not going to up my risk when I'm in drawdown already. I'm not going to do that. That is dumb, and that is a very, very quick way to lose challenges. So on this trade, I risked 1%, and unfortunately, I ended up losing, I think, close to 4% on this trade, which sucks because it's going to take a long time to make that back up. But here's what happened. I entered this trade on Euro CHF, right? And I made one fatal mistake here on my last 2 losses, and this is my first one on Euro CHF. I didn't wait for my shark fin confirmation. It had other confirmations, but I didn't wait for all of them. And guess what? Price ended up going lower before it ended up giving a nice little push to the upside. So what happened? I came down. I had the 4-hour break in retest of the 50 moving average, along with structure, and it ended up coming down. But guess what? Right as it was coming down and getting a little bit close to my stop loss, rollover was going to happen between New York session and Asian session. And if you guys don't know, New York and Asia session, the spreads in between, when you have the rollover period, there's like an hour where spreads go crazy. If you've been trading for any amount of time, you guys know this, but the spreads went crazy basically, and so I took my stop loss off because stop loss would have got hit with spreads. But what happened was I took stop loss off, and then over the next couple days, things happened in my life, and I wasn't able to really get to my phone and watch and monitor these trades. So I didn't really even check TradingView. I couldn't. I had a lot going on at the time. So guess what happened? Boom. I ended up 1%, ended up losing me 4% because price just kept plummeting down. It never had a full break up to the upside yet. And so I ended up losing 4% instead of 1%, which really sucked. But it is what it is. And we're going to get into the dashboard after I show you guys the trades. But yeah, so that ended up happening. That was very, very unfortunate, and it sucked. Let's see. Now we're on to the next loss, which is USD CHF. And again, what did I do? I didn't wait for my yeah, 4-hour shark fin confirmation. Which 4-hour and 1-hour, I kind of do both, but this was a break and retest of the 4-hour 50 moving average, again, just like Euro CHF, but guess what? It didn't have all the confluences, so it ended up going lower before it ended up pushing up. So I lost that trade. If I would have waited till it got lower, right here, down here is even a shark fin divergence. I could have waited and got that trade here, but I entered here, and then it just plummeted straight to my loss very, very quickly. The first 4-hour candle, boom, hit stop loss. That one, what my risk was, I think, I don't remember exactly how much I lost, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was less than 2% for sure. So now we'll get on to the win, which was Euro CHF. Let me go over here. So this was my loss that I just went over beforehand, Euro CHF. Now we get on to my win in Euro CHF. And we had a massive shark fin divergence on the 4-hour time frame. We had a break and retest of the 50 moving average. Boom. Price moved up, and we had a nice TP hit. And that was a nice almost 2%, which is great. That's the last trade that I took. And also, what I'm seeing here, guys, now that I'm looking at this, something that you guys can look for, something y'all can look for in an upcoming trade. Why can I never find the path? Here it is a break and retest up here, and this is when these moving averages, the 200 and the 200 and the 50 moving average are going to come up here and touch or collide or even cross. And whenever that happens, that is break and retest of that is going to look very nice. Let's look at the daily. It might be a daily 50 moving average as well. Look at that. What I say, we're right at the daily 50 right now. If we break and retest that, it'll be in the same area. That looks like it could be a good trade. So that is one you could look out for. That's one that I'm calling out here, which would be around this area roughly. And you could take it all the way up here. A nice, 70 pip trade, 1-to-3 risk reward ratio. I'm going to leave that on my chart. Next update video, I'm going to see if that plays out. And this is just rough because it really depends on how price moves, how long it takes, because these moving averages are going to move, as price moves, right? Price might not enter exactly right here depending on where everything's at, but that's one to look out for. Anyways, let's get on to the trade that I'm currently in, and then we'll get on to my dashboard and back-end analytics. Here's the trade I'm currently in. GBP USD. This is a 4-hour shark fin as well as structure on the daily and weekly. And was this a daily shark fin as well? Daily shark fin is open as well. And if I look back, I believe on the 4-hour there's also Bollinger Band touch. Yep, 4-hour Bollinger Bands are starting to flatten out here. And let me tell you guys, Bollinger Bands with structure with a shark fin, it is a very high probability trade. Now, I can also see happening here is once the moving averages flatten out here, the bands flatten out here, the first band, this is the 2.0 band, once this flattens out, I can see it taking another dive down with news, bouncing off of that, and then going up. So that is something I can also see happening, but I'm looking to take this trade for at least to this moving average, which would be 150 pips, which would be pretty dang nice. This was a larger stop loss, 50 to 60 pip stop loss. Really, as long as I hit a 1-to-2 risk reward ratio, that's pretty much where my sweet spot is. 1-to-2, especially if it's like a Friday, I'll end up closing out my trade. But when I initially draw out my trades, I usually aim for that 1-to-3. So this is the trade I'm currently in, GBP USD. So you guys can, before the next update video, you guys will know whether I lost or won this trade. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the back end. Now that we're in the back end of the analytics, y'all will be able to see all of the trades I've taken. And so this is the month of October, right? I told you I took 3 trades, 2 losses, 1 win. Here's the Euro CHF trade, which is a massive loss. Actually, it was about 4.5%. Oof, that is rough now that I look at that. That sucks. And then a little over 1% win, and then 1% loss, and then about a 1.5, almost 2% win with the last Euro CHF win. So that is where we're at, man. It sucks that we're in this situation that I have. I'm down 5% at this point, which really stinks. I'm about halfway to my maximum loss, which stinks. But you know what? Sometimes, like, you start taking a challenge, you start off in a loss streak, and that's what happens. But I've gotten myself out of deeper drawdown before. I've gotten myself out of 7.5% drawdown, I believe, and ended up passing that phase and ended up passing that challenge with around 7.5% drawdown, which is pretty crazy, which is like 2.5% more drawdown than I'm in right now. So we're not completely out of the woods yet. I'm not just giving up on this challenge thinking, oh, we lost it. I'm going to wait for all my confirmations, and we're going to keep taking trades when they present themselves. That might be once a week, that might be once a month, I don't know, but I will keep you guys updated. Again, if you guys are interested in funding pips, I have been funded with funding pips. I have gotten payouts with funded pips, so I know that they pay. There's a link in my bio that you guys can check them out as well, and there's always discounts and stuff going on. If you've never bought from them before, you can get 20% off your first purchase, which is really cool. Yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what trades you guys have been taking. Let me know if, have you guys been taking funding challenges? Are you guys funded? Do you trade personal capital? I'd love to start that conversation with you guys in the comments below. But again, I appreciate you guys for watching. Unfortunately, we're not in a happy phase where we're winning right now, or where we're up on this challenge, but it is what it is. And like I said, I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. So here is the reality. Sometimes challenges go this way, right? But anyways, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are trading good, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.